Welcome into Darlene's Day Party, David Oyelowo. And I am such a big fan of yours. Ever since Selma. That was my first time seeing you, like, up close and personal. And, I mean, first of all, I can't have you here without talking about Selma because you didn't stop here when you did Selma.
You were all over the world.
Now,
let's rectify it now. I am sorry.
But Selma was one of those. It was epic, of course, but it's a very important movie for America. And I have to say that I have never seen anyone play Dr. Martin Luther King and portray him the way you did, to make him come to life for all of us. So I have to say thank you. Thank you for all of the effort that you put into it, because and it just, how was that? How was it when you were approached about being Dr. Martin Luther King?
Well, you know, so much of what I was able to achieve with that film was in the approach. I wasn't approached. I was sent a script in 2007 by my agent, and it was soon after my wife and I had moved here, felt called of God to do that. And God told me I was going to play Dr. King in that film. And it didn't make any sense. I'm a British actor. I hadn't done any Hollywood movies, and I know that voice in my life. And it took 7 years for it to happen. But in that 7 years, I grew as a man, I grew as an actor. I had opportunities in films like Lincoln, The Help, The Butler, you know, and all of which, Red Tails, all of which trained me in what I didn't know, which is, you know, what it is to be an African American in this country over the last 150 years. And all of that went into playing Dr. King.
Wow, now that's very interesting. That's a very interesting approach. And I would have to say, now you are in this movie captive. And because I'm a native of Atlanta, Georgia, I know this story. And I believe that the people of Atlanta we can all connect to this story in a very special way, because this was a day that we will never forget. This is a time that we will never forget, and it's a story that we will never forget. I'll never forget, it was my son's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Caught up in traffic because of Brian Nichols. And we know this. It's endearing to us. I was just telling my friend here, Glenn, that we were trying to hide out because no one knew where Brian Nichols was. We didn't know which direction he went. I live in Gwinnett County, so I was like, I'm safe, so I'm gonna go home. And he possibly passed us. By the time that he got to the young lady's house was the time that we were on the same highway going home. So everybody that I talked to has some sort of a connection to that particular day. But the story is another very important story for America right now. Because there's so many ways that this connects. So here you are again. I feel called to this. You know, it wasn't, yes, I'm an actor and I love what I do, but there are certain stories that I just feel transcend that, and this is another one of those, you know, like playing Dr. King in Selma. And for me, I agree with you. It's a timely film, because even though Brian Nichols, you know, killed 4 people that morning, and that is a reprehensible thing for anyone to do. He ended up then taking Ashley Smith, who was a meth addict, who had lost custody of her daughter. Of all the people and of all the places, you know, 45 minutes away, Duluth, as opposed to here in Atlanta, is where he ended up taking this lady hostage. And good came out of a meth addict and a murderer being in an apartment together for 7 hours. And one of the things that I think brought about any kind of good out of that situation was these two people recognized each other as human beings. You know, this white lady who was a meth addict, this black man who was a murderer, and she treated him as a human being. that's what flipped a switch in him, is that he had been through so many things. As I say, nothing excuses what he did. I didn't want to exonerate him in my portrayal of him, but that's what caught him in his tracks. This woman spoke to him as a human being. She read to him from this book, which was about purpose, and he saw the light. And through him seeing the light, she saw the light and never touched that drug again. And that is just a story that the power of it to me is just completely undeniable.
There's an undeniable power. There's an undeniable anointing on this particular movie. And I'm very excited that someone saw the story and saw exactly what it is for what it was. And so let me ask you, what would you like America to see in times like these after watching this movie? What is it that you would like them to capture?
Well, I think the themes of this film are forgiveness, hope, and redemption. And all of us have done things that we're ashamed of. All of us have had times where we need a second chance. All of us have judged other people on face value without getting into who they are and why they are who they are. And I think this film, in those 7 hours these people spent together, hope should not have been something they had access to, and it was. Redemption should not have been something they had access to, and it's certainly, as it pertains to Ashley Smith, something she stepped into. And forgiveness, I love the moment in the film where Brian Nichols says, "If I were the one who had killed your husband, could you forgive me?" And she says, "I don't know, but maybe God can." And I think God's grace in life generally, God is so much more gracious than we are as human beings, and I think to turn to God at times like this, even when we can't fully understand some of what's going on, we look at certain people's behavior and we feel real pain and anger in our heart, but when you look at them through God's eyes, it shifts things, and that's the point beyond which I truly think healing and just hope can come.
Captive. In theaters, September the 18th. I am so excited about this movie. I am so excited, and I really appreciate you coming by to see us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.